mate. Joining us on the line now, all the way in Santa Barbara of the US of A, none other than Taylor Mole. Taylor, welcome.
Hello, Ronnie. Thanks for having me.
Taylor, obviously your fifth year and your senior and final year over there. How's it been so far, and what kind of update can you give us?
Yeah, it's been good so far. We've come off to a pretty good start to the year. I think we had one of the best starts since 1986 for our program. So yeah, we've been doing well. We're 6-3, so we're having our last game before Christmas on Wednesday. Hopefully get another win then, go into conference play 7-3. So that's the plan so far, but we've been coming together really nicely, and I'm very excited for the rest of the season.
And obviously the games that you mentioned about conference and non-conference games as well too, that are thrown into the mix there?
Yeah, we've had up until Christmas, all of our games have been non-conference, and we had a big game against UCLA at home, which was unreal to be able to play. We had a massive crowd. Ended up losing by 11, but they were 13th ranked at the time, so it was a really good hit out against them to be able to only lose by a few points and be up by 20 at quarter time. But then it's UCLA, so they just made a run, and we had got some good stuff out of that to be able to work on. But yeah, that was the big non-conference game for us this year.
So a huge college in UCLA.
Yeah.
And obviously, sometimes that's kind of the college game, isn't it? To a degree, it's a game of runs and a game of momentum swings, and really just comes down to whoever's got the ball in those last few minutes really holds that advantage in some of those games, doesn't it, Taylor?
Yeah, definitely. We've had 2 overtime games as well in our non-conference. We had a triple overtime game at Southern Utah against Aisha Anis that we ended up winning, and then we had another overtime game against Sac State before that we ended up losing by 2. So we've had some really good contests up until this point, which will serve us well for the games ahead.
And I assume for the team, a lot of positives and learnings to take out of all those games?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of positives, a lot of stuff to work on, a lot of film to watch. But yeah, it's been a good year so far.
And what about the team that you got? Again, you're getting probably few freshmen in there, and obviously a core group, really sticking around, and of course the coaching staff. So how's it been this year from a team morale aspect?
It's been unreal this year. We all kind of call ourselves sisters because we're the closest team that I've had in my 5 years of college. So it's nice to have such a close team for my last year. We've got 2 incoming freshmen that came in that have been doing really well, working hard and getting better each day, and the transfer that came in as well. But our returning core, we have a lot coming back from last year, which has been good in our practices leading up to the season, just because we know a little bit about what to do, the teams we're playing, how each other play, how the coaches coach and stuff like that. So it's been pretty easily adjustment period for everyone.
Very good to hear, and obviously, yeah, you got as you mentioned, you got a game coming up before the Christmas break. And is it a long break or a shorter break in between them?
So the last game's on the 21st, and a lot of the girls go home, and then we have to be back on the 26th, I believe, because then we have a quick turnaround, play our first conference game, I think on the 29th, I believe. Yeah. 31st, close, yeah.
Okay. Is this time the schedule around a little bit more compact? We're trying to fit more games in, or just trying to make up for lost time due to those COVID years, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. I think this year will be the most games that we would have played in the past 2 years, just because of cancellations and shorter seasons and stuff. But this year we had a really good amount of non-conference and quick turnaround games as well, which has been good. Just be able to get used to playing conference, because we play Thursday, Saturday in conference, so it's only a 1-day turnaround between games. So we're trying to get used to that a little bit, but also giving our bodies a little bit of a rest at the same time. But it's been good so far.
And individually, Taylor, how are you going with your game so far?
Yeah, going well. I've been improving and trying to get better on a lot of things just to translate to the next step in my basketball career, which has been good. Working on the 3-point shot all the time, pull-ups, getting to the rim. But it's been a good start to the year, a lot more playmaking, rebounding, assists, but it's a lot to build on and get better on as well for the rest of the year. So I'm excited for that.
And when it's all said and done, Taylor, once you have that final game and off to the next chapter of your career, how do you reflect on your time there in the States?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, I was talking to mum and dad about it the other day. It's going to be a little bit bittersweet just because I'm excited for the next step, but it's also like I have to leave behind a lot of the coaches and teammates that I've gotten so close to over these past 3 years. And so, yeah, I'm excited for the next step. I'm very excited, but I don't know how I'm going to be feeling like on senior night and at the tournament and stuff. It'll be time to tell when I get to that point, but I think it'll be a little bit emotional, but it'll be excited for what's ahead.
I was going to say that would be a big night when senior night rolls around later on in the season for you. Have you worked out the next steps in your chapter as yet, or is it still a little up in the air?
It's a little bit up in the air. Like I've been discussing and talking to some teams and stuff like that. Probably make a decision somewhere in the new year, but it's just whatever's going to be the best fit for me to not only play and get a lot of minutes and put up points and stuff to be able to play WNBL hopefully in the future, but just being able to do that and find the best fit with coaches and stuff like that.
And I'll keep rolling. People don't realise that we're actually doing it.
You're fine.
I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
Actually, no, I've got it back now. Will you come home after the season's done?
There'll be obviously a time period that I will come home for however long that is, just to be able to relax and spend time with family and stuff. But I don't know what that time period is, just because of how deep we go in the tournament or when I'm able to come home or stuff like that. But it'll hopefully all be sorted in the new year. That's the plan.
And of course, yeah, your team's a real chance to make it obviously into playoffs or tournaments and whatnot, Taylor. So is the group optimistic of how far they can go?
Yeah, we're very optimistic. We're not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves just because we want to enjoy the process and the journey and stuff like that. But in the preseason rankings, we got picked to finish second. So we're hoping just to capitalize on that and finish as high as we can, just to give ourselves the best shot to make the NCAA tournament, the WNIT tournament, and just hopefully win a championship.
It would be a good feeling, wouldn't it? And as you mentioned, 1986 was the best start since before your girls just went for it. That's a long time. We're talking 26 years right there.
Yep. No, it was an unreal start. A couple of games that we should have probably won in our non-conference, but it's all a learning thing. But we're in good shape for conference for sure.
Fantastic to hear. And obviously, Taylor, we talk about the 5 years you've been there. Before those 5 years, heavily involved with the BTAS programs and working with the coaches here. I mean, we ask the same question every year. I think how just important now, and I suppose right at the back end of your career, how important is it to have that reflection of going, had that BTAS program under my belt and had some really good coaches that prepared me for what has been a really decent 5 years that you had.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I always say it every time I talk to you, but like I wouldn't be where I am without any of the BTAS pathways and all the state teams and being able to get to the COE. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that without the state teams or the development from the coaches that were down here. And I still have great relationships with a lot of the coaches, like Nick Martin. Whenever I come home, I always get on the court and do indies with him, go to SDP training and help him out coaching and stuff like that. So we still have a really good relationship. Same with Mark Radford. Now he's with the Jack Jumpers, but I literally called him the other week just to talk about future stuff, talk about the season, talk about where he's at. So it's really special for me to be able to have those relationships from coaches that I've known for over 5 years, 10 years. But without them, like I wouldn't be the person or player that I am today. So I was extremely thankful for that pathway in my journey for sure.
Absolutely. And of course, yes, looking forward to the next pathway that you go through, Taylor, and it'll be interesting to see where you do end up, I guess. Speaking about your team and the team morale around that place, how have they got used to the Australian accent now? Is there not much laughter now? Is it just a bit more kind of, yep, no worries, and away we go? Is there more laughter than anything else still around that Aussie accent, Taylor?
They've gotten a little bit more, like, obviously there's some words, like I'll say some phrases and they'll be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like I was talking to one of my coaches and teammates in the offices the other day, and had to go to work one of the basketball games, and I was like, okay, we were watching the Celtics game on TV, and I was like, okay, I'm going to leave at quarter time. and go to work, whatever. And they just kind of looked at me, and I was like I'm gonna leave at quarter time, and they were like, quarter what? Like they don't say quarter time, they just say like end of the period or end of the quarter, and they just were it was completely foreign what I said, and I had no idea that was a thing. But it's either that's the running joke, or the running joke is when we have to tell our scores in practice and I say 13, but they say like 13, like they really pronunciate it. But
Yeah.
I say that, so anytime I say that number in practice, like the coaches, everyone is like 13. So that's those are the pretty funny ones that happen, but they're pretty used to it at this point. It's still pretty fun though.
Very, very good to hear, Taylor. I can see. Well, geez, I can see in the background, obviously, those famous shoes. But also too, I see a lot of. There's some food in the background on top of the fridge.
Yes, that's where I keep all my cereals and vinegar and little bottles of stuff like that. But food is still my favorite thing ever, so I have a lot of it.
Absolutely, and yeah, you got the shoes there. I assume there's a few shoes to bring back home.
Yeah, there is a lot of shoes to bring back home. I've asked mum and dad for a couple more for Christmas, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, shoes are my favorite, so we'll have a lot coming home with me for sure.
Very good. Do you have any? Do you change shoes at half time? I've heard that Josh Giddey apparently changes his shoes at half time. Do you, if you're having a bad half, do you change shoes or?
I did hear about that with Giddey, but I do not personally. I just kind of stick with what I've got. Right now I've got a rotation of 2 shoes that I wear through the season and practices, so they're probably what I'll stick with for the rest of the year. But I don't, and I've never done that. The only time I did change shoes was when last year in a game at Pepperdine, my shoelace snapped in the second quarter, and I always bring 2 pairs of shoes everywhere. Thank goodness I did for this, because I had them back there ready to go. So
absolutely, you can't go wrong with bringing 2 pairs of shoes.
Definitely.
Is there a favorite shoe out of the whole lot that you in your rotation that you like to play in, Taylor?
I got these new ones this year, some Damian Lillard's. They're just bright blue, aqua blue. Just like, I love the color so much. Very similar to our uniform. So they're my go-tos at the moment. And then I just have a plain black pair with white, which I also like the darker colors on my feet. So they're the 2 I'm in rotation with, but the blue are probably the favorite pair of Adidas shoes that I've gotten since I've been here.
There you go. And what's your, out of the whole experience, Taylor, what's been your favourite place to go to, or what favourite venue you'd love to play in?
That's a great question. I did obviously enjoy playing at the arenas that we play in for the tournament in Vegas, because they're just big arenas, massive, and it's just a lot of pressure, and I love being able to play in those situations. But probably my favorite arena that we went to was either when I was at Colorado State and we got the opportunity to play at Tennessee, which was just like the amount of history that is in that place is just like unreal. It gives you goosebumps when you walk in there. Either that, or last year when we played at Northwestern, just because that was another big game in Chicago, like a different climate, and that was just kind of special to experience that.
Oh, cool. And of course, your NBA team is none other than the Boston Celtics, and Jason Tatum, your favourite player. Have you been able to get down to the TD Garden and watch some games down there?
I've been to the TD Garden 5-6 years ago on a family holiday, but obviously Tatum wasn't there then, so I'm still yet to see him play in person. Hopefully the day will come soon. But mum and dad and my brother they saw him play when they came to Melbourne and did that scrimmage, but I'm yet to see him play. They were playing in LA a couple of days ago, but obviously I had practice and stuff, so I couldn't get down there. But the day will eventually come. The day will come soon, I think.
I was going to say, you've only got, a few months left.
I know. I'm running out of time.
Is there anyone? Is there any of the other Tassie athletes that you follow? I mean, I know we speak about Rain, I think, in the last interview, and how he's going to Charleston. I mean, the Armstrong boys are at CBU, and I think a few of the girls are out elsewhere as well. So you get a chance to stay in touch or just follow where they might be doing, what they might be up to.
Yeah, I try and follow most of the Tassie people. Like around last week, we had a game actually at CBU, so I was able to play at the arena that Trey and Taryn play in. I think I saw them in the crowd, stuff like that. Like, it was just kind of surreal to kind of see people that we grew up playing basketball like in the same clubs and same state, and then see them on the other side of the planet, which is kind of surreal feeling. And I got to chat to Aisha after we played at Southern Utah, so that was really cool just to kind of see someone and a familiar face and a familiar voice, which is really special to be able to do. But I try and keep up with a lot of them, how they're doing. And yeah, it's cool to see how they're all doing so well at their respective schools.
Yeah, absolutely, especially your final year and you're about to exit and whatnot. Yeah. It must be it must be pretty nice to see these other ones that have just either in their I think Taryn's in their third year and whatnot. So yeah. Just lost train of thought here.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, my supervisors. We'll keep tracking along here. So obviously games ahead for you, and then the break, and then obviously a big January, February coming up, I assume.
Yeah, massive January, February, getting prepared. Our coach always says it's a race to who's the best team at the end of February to get to the tournament, be able to see who's gotten better the fastest at that point. So massive couple months ahead with big games, but hopefully we'll be able to get that regular season championship and go well in the tournament.
Absolutely. Taylor, great to speak to you as always, and we look forward to catching up with you when you're back home. Hopefully we'll get you on the Chargers broadcast like we usually do if you're around for a game. Otherwise, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate it.